Welcome to the Wicked Radio Network.
That world down there, there's no soul left to it.
This mountain is ours, so it don't come free.
This is our land, and this is our blood. And may those devils down there know this. We will never leave this mountain!
Recorded to you live from the concession stand at Wetumpka County High School. This is the Wicked Theory Podcast. Yeah! Look who's back, kids. It's us.
I'm back, baby. I'm
Look
back.
who's
I'm
here.
back. I'm back.
That's the voice of Dom. That's my buddy Dom. And that giggling guy over there, that's my brother Bob.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, sweet.
There we go.
Guitar. Bob's playing that instrument just for you guys. It's not for me and Dom. It's for you guys at home. It's just one of the many things we bring.
That's right.
As we bring you nerdiness and geekiness and shovelfuls.
Yeah, we're a bit well-rounded, I'd
Yeah.
like to say.
Well-rounded. I like that. I like to think that we bring a lot of stuff.
That's one thing I was never called throughout my entire life, was well-rounded. So I'd like to think that this podcast might be a bit
Even when you were like a little
well-rounded.
chubby guy or something? No one calls you well-rounded?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know if you had witty friends like that, but...
No. I think it was probably the adults that were like making fun of me.
Those fucking scumbags. Anyway, kids, yeah, here we are again, and we're live. Well, we're not live, but we are live. We are alive.
Debatable.
It's debatable, and we're gonna cover some stuff today as usual. Later on, we're gonna get all funky with some polls again. We got some Flash stuff. We're gonna push to the back because it's gonna
get a little
get
bit of comics talk. That's a bit hot off the press, as they say.
Let's tease it a little bit. We got what else?
We're
gonna do some email stuff in mere moments,
in mere seconds, actually.
Mere seconds,
and it's gonna be a good show, good fun show. So
that's
stick
a promise.
with us.
That's a promise. Depending on how the emails go, because I'm not screening them anymore. Bob, a little email jingle for me. Emails. We get some emails. We get lots of fucking emails. Yeah. That's Brother Bob. Yeah. So, in the email box,
before we get to emails, let's just get some official business out
yeah,
of the way.
official. I missed it. I skipped right over it, didn't I?
Our other podcast.
I've heard of it.
VS Preach. Preach versus Preacher.
That's right. Praise versus Preacher.
Yeah.
Like the way that came out, you weren't even trying to do that. It was like Preacher. But, yeah, that's the other podcast we're doing.
Chopping some limber.
Chopping some timber. So, the guys, who am I going to say?
The guys at Wicked Theory.
The guys at Wicked Theory, this very show you're listening to, I was starting another podcast where we're going to talk about a show, just one show. Because, we talk about a million shows here. Let's focus, damn it. Let's focus on one thing. And it's this Preacher show that's coming to AMC. It's a comic book that we read and we love, and we're inviting you to go read the comic if you haven't read it. If you've already read it, read it again.
It's called Preacher.
It's very simple. It's just very
simple.
That's
and it's by Vertigo Comics. So the show's coming soon.
So
we got one
April-ish,
episode up
right?
there. So check us out on iTunes at Preach VS Preach, and
that's it. Really, I mean, go check it out, and we're gonna ride along. If you go listen to the episode, you'll know what we're talking about. Well, you'll be hip.
You'll either hate us or love us. So that's that.
That's what we always do, though. We always give them that one option: either hate us or love us. I prefer they hate us.
I think most people hate us.
I think so. I think the people that think that they like us, they'll grow to hate us too.
Absolutely. So we got some emails today.
We got some emails. Now let me break something down for you. We got an email in here that's from somebody that's brand new to sending us emails, but we're not getting to that yet. I'm teasing it.
You teased me.
I'm teasing it, right? You're like, what?
We found a new friend.
We got ourselves.
We got ourselves a new friend.
We reached out and we got a little response.
Gosh.
But let's start with Agent Palmer. You might be familiar with this name. We've mentioned this clown a couple times.
Yeah. That's a good term for him.
You know what I mean? What kind of circus would that clown be from? I don't know. But it would be pop culture related. He's a friend. He's a follower. He's a listener. Man, and he's even got his own theme.
That's his theme, right?
That's his theme. It's basically Get Smart. It's literally Get Smart, I should say. Nice. So he says, to the hosts of the Wicked Theory podcast, the mildly inaccurate and always entertaining podcast. That was a little Twitter war I had with him. So that's a little note.
Wow, we're just mildly inaccurate? That's pretty good.
It started as mostly inaccurate, and I downed it to mildly. Can we just go with mildly inaccurate? Which is a word, obviously, I can barely say. So to all of you, what's your favorite color? He's keeping it basic. He's warming us up.
Black.
Black?
The color of death.
That's a ditto? That's
Black.
Black as well?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah. Like
Black,
dark
blue.
Black. I mean, it's kind of hard in this particular studio space to not say blue, but
It's funny because all three of our favorite colors are like black or dark blue, and
We're just
our
three
logo
very
is
depressing
very
it's on the
bright.
brighter side.
It's bright, and
Trying
more
to get
bright.
your attention.
Most people like bright, shiny things.
And it's basically supposed to be a warning.
We're
it's
just
it's
not
like a
bright,
warning
shiny
logo
people
that's
here.
gone wrong.
Really?
That's basically the idea. So to Bob in particular, what is your favorite guitar or bass in your collection, and which one, bass or guitar, would you do you still want to own? So because Palmer, you may not know, Bob is a rocker himself. He's played some guitar in some bands and stuff. He's rusty. He's
This guy
got it
gets
stowed
more
away.
interesting as the days go.
Yeah. Slowly, you reveal. He reveals all these.
Well, he
secrets.
doesn't sleep. He
Seems
blogs
like it.
and everything that he does. He just doesn't sleep. He
Doesn't stop, that's
he
for
always
sure.
finds time to do things for other people, and
Seems
a
to be,
helpful- he's a
seems to be
helpful
true,
habit.
I guess. And
I think
So-
he just drinks the blood of small children, and
I,
that keeps him awake.
that'll do it. I think that'll do it.
Mix that with a cup of coffee.
Well, he says that it's coffee, but I can't see. Like, you know what I mean? It's a phone call.
No, it's
So-
gotta be really strong.
So what would you say is your favorite guitar bass in your collection?
All right, actually, the current bass the one I just got is actually a Ibanez micro bass. It's actually 28 and a half inch scale. Right?
Sure.
You've seen it. So,
I've said, yeah, it's
that
it's
thing
different.
is freaking awesome. It's 100 and something. It's not even $200 brand new.
Right. Yeah, it looks
And-
amazing.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal for everything that it is. It's phenomenal.
Sure.
I changed the knobs because the knobs on it are plastic,
Right.
and eventually I'll have to upgrade the pickups because they're good, but they're a little low powered.
All right.
But tone wise, they're spot on. So overall, for less than $200, the construction of this thing is outrageous. So I'm totally happy with that. That's my number one bass now.
Sure.
I'm probably gonna pick up a 5-string version of it as well.
So would that fall under the because the second half of his question is, and which one do you still want to own? Like what's
Well,
like one that's like out there? I guess.
Well, I have a old PV Foundation which I got drunk one day, took the frets out of. So now it has an old Yamaha bass neck on it.
All right.
And that thing it sounds like a top end bass.
Okay.
It looks like it got run over.
Right.
But it's something that I learned how to I don't want to say build, but repair and do a little maintenance on.
Okay.
And customize guitars on that instrument.
Sure. So
I kind of had to.
Right. So, but
You
to
know?
answer this question,
So,
then.
That's the one I would still own.
Right. I got you.
You know?
Okay. That's the one.
But I would like for it to be back in its original condition with its original neck.
Right,
I'd
well-
like to forget that mistake.
You'd like to forget that you disassembled it.
Because if I had that, then it would still sound like it did then.
Well,
you
I've
know?
had that kind of
It's
relationship.
a little
with
different
some of my
now than
stuff
it
where
was.
It's like I fucked with it way too much.
You know, and I've had that one now for.
that's what life's all about, man.
Since 1985, I've had that.
Well, it's
Okay,
here's
so that's got to tell you something about
yeah.
it.
No. I'm surprised when I saw it when we moved in that it was still
Right,
around.
yeah.
You know. So to me now, oddly enough, he asks
okay.
this question to Bill: do you ever sleep, or are you a vampire? Which is what we were just accusing him of mere moments ago. And I'd say not, as evidenced by hanging out with these guys way too late last night on the Skypes till 2 o'clock in the morning. And
Not us.
Yeah,
not you
I
particularly guys.
overheard that.
Let me correct that. But I mean, like the 7 Days a Geek. It was Grant, Jay, Dave Meyer, however you pronounce his name.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
From,
when Bill's not
several
podcasting,
podcasts,
he's
including-
talking about podcasting.
From several podcasts, including including Chronicles Unwritten.
Gotham Lights.
Steph from Gotham Lights was there. And we were basically just kind of watching Grant drink some cinnamon whiskey or some Fireball. Yeah, yeah. I'm slowly watching him enjoy that fireball.
That sounds like fun. You should have recorded that.
We kept on saying that, and then immediately saying no, we shouldn't record it.
You guys are like a bunch of little kids.
No, blackmail can be good if you're on the proper end of the blackmail.
Oh well, that's there's only one end. That's the good end on blackmail. So then, Bill, please give Dom 30 seconds to actually answer this question as you roll your eyes and sigh. But to Dom, with Valentine's Day approaching, are you excited for Mets news from spring training? Are you excited for Mets news? No?
No, well, I mean, obviously I am, but I got all the Mets news I needed about 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay.
When they re-signed Yoenis Cespedes. So,
all right.
That's that.
That's that, and that's the big hope for the team this year. Basically, kind of going into it, he's the guy to watch.
Yes.
He's this season's the guy who's going to bring it all back. Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
every team's got. It seems like some teams, like it's like, oh, this guy's the big hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't implode, right? But that's good. That's good. The Mets need a guy.
They're looking pretty good.
Looking pretty good, them Mets.
Looking pretty positive.
Take it from me as a big sports fanical.
Right.
I know much about the sportses.
Right.
So, and he's going to sign off with that was your weekly dose of Palmer. All right, and then we have one from Brian Hughes, who I mentioned last week.
Yeah, I've noticed him on the Twitter feeds.
There you go. So I'm going to blast through this one. I'm not going to skip anything, but I just mean let's roll it. So he says to me, hope your knee is healing well, because I blasted my knee out at work the other day, and I put a tweet up about that.
Oh.
And shows how much you're paying attention to me, Dominic. But yes, I did blast the shit out of my knee. I fell off the second step of the ladder over by the Monroe Shocks.
Nice.
If you know what fun that aisle is at the warehouse. And, it basically just landed right on the side of my knee. Luckily, not on the cap. I feel like if I had landed on the cap, bro, I would have...
Cap, bro?
I would have blasted that thing out of something fierce. So
that was like 5 different accents.
I'm just giving you options. I'm giving you a smorgasbord of actions.
Giddy up.
So with that, he says, I'm loving the show. Been dipping into your back catalog as well. Brian, you don't have to, man. Don't go any deeper than episode 10 or episode 9. You start rolling back to lower numbers than that.
Well, you're actually kind of brave on 10 and 9, I think.
Well, I feel like 10 is a point where it's like, I think we switched up the microphone to... So it's like you don't hear the tinny echoiness as much.
What episode is this? 37, 38, right?
This is 38.
This is 38. So I would probably say, if I was going to tell somebody to start listening to the podcast, I would probably tell them to start at about like 33.
I'd say wherever Sacco Jones appeared. And then from there on.
That's about 30, I think. That was episode 30, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Late 20s. Early 30s.
Yeah, that one's got to go with the best of, I think.
Yeah. I retweeted that one out recently. I was like, hey, this was a good one. Check it out.
This was
Sacco's definitely a good guest.
Yeah, I was tempted to ask him what he was doing this weekend, actually. So then he goes into he says, but dipping into the back catalog as I'm a recent convert, all good stuff. A few new things floating my boat at the moment. This is like his little addition to the meanwhile. He said Lucifer, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but he says, I'm well impressed by the pilot. Great cast. Tom Ellis is fabulous. Hope it does well. Shadow Hunters. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't, but I know what it is.
Okay,
I know it's on ABC Family, Freeform actually.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get into it in a minute. He says Shadowhunters, young, energetic cast with cool effects and fight scenes, easy on the eye. And all I wanted to say was that when I saw the first commercial for that, I thought it was for like a book. Oh, I thought it was for a book, like a novel, like a young adult novel. Like, like this look that they have sometimes in commercials for books where it's just like, it almost feels like 5 photoshopped images just floating around and not really doing anything.
They do that a lot for video games now, too.
Yeah, it's just kind of...
Like when Destiny was coming out,
they
had like a live-action Destiny commercial. And
it was like... But the way that they do it's kind of weird. But anyway, it turned me off to the idea. But I'll check it out if it gets thrown in my way. Billions, which we have on the list for a little bit later. But,
digging that shit.
Brian, who are you again?
My name is Philium
Rexograph?
Yeah.
Philium Rexograph is going to talk about it a little bit later. He's loving it too. Brian here says, Billions, Lewis versus Giamatti going at it against a background of money and kinky sex. What's not to like? Colony.
Fantastic.
It's an interesting sci-fi story with a good cast. I like it a lot. Stan Lee's Lucky Man. Only seen the pilot so far, but it's already got me hooked. James Nesbitt is great as the troubled lead character. Is this out in the United States yet? And I'm not even familiar with it.
I have never heard of it.
You got some Googling?
I have a disposable internet.
You have Google's? You've paid your Google?
I have Google.
You've
Now,
all
what was
paid
the
up?
name on that again? Stan Lee's.
Stan Lee's Lucky Man.
Lucky Man.
All right. Then he's closing up with, am I the only one who cheered at the news that Fish Mooney is coming back? Hopefully they'll improve her dialogue. And I'm going to say at this table, you probably are. I had it planned for later on in the show, but I'll just drop it right now and get it out of the way. This way we don't have to worry about it later. But yeah, Fish Mooney's going to come back to Gotham as if that's going to help things. I don't know. I mean, hey, if it's just going to be for a little bit, it's not for a full season.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
because I have some words of wisdom.
You know what? Absolutely. Let's just this way we can blast through this segment. We'll come back to it. So that's a teaser. Another teaser. This is going to be the episode of teasers. I bet you there'll be a teaser.
You get
reference.
Rewarded for the teaser.
Let's just call it the Teasersode.
Well, he did it. He did it.
I knew we kept this guy.
You know what I mean? Every once in a while, I was going to say, like, I know that there'll be a teaser reference in the title. That's what I was just about to say. And he's like,
Teasersode.
The Teasersode. So, unless we come up with something better, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Stop.
You're welcome.
All right, Ed, I'm going to skip this one because we're going to get to it later, but the CW made an announcement on some new shows, one of which is going to be this Riverdale based on Archie Comics. We'll get to it a little bit later. Ed's other email, gentlemen, who would star in a modern biopic about Abbott and Costello?
Seth Rogen and James Franco.
Just because that's basically probably where they would go.
I think James Franco would have to wear lifts because I think
there was more of a height disparity.
Yeah, there was a height disparity. That's
yeah.
Key and Peele, maybe.
But
there you go. And whiteface.
There you go. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how they do.
They could make fun of the white man at the same time.
Well, hey, it's
get a little revenge.
I want to say who you'll end up with is some horrible shit like fucking Adam Sandler and fucking Kevin James. You know what I mean? That's what it'll turn into.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
That's the nightmare scenario anyway.
Yeah.
Is that something that's being kicked around though? Is that why he
I don't know.
It
Might be. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's probably just him fucking being Ed. Just Ed being Ed.
It could literally go either way though. In this day and age, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden it turned out like
they did cast the Three Stooges pretty well.
Well, that's what I mean. Like that turned out.
I mean, that movie was what it was, but they did cast them well.
A couple of those guys were surprisingly.
I actually laughed my ass off at that movie. I
still haven't seen it, but I know a couple of those guys were surprisingly good. That's what I had heard as well. So another one from Ed real quick is, gentlemen, have you ever been hunted down by the public library for overdue books?
No, because I was never much of a book reader when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was never much of a library guy. Book reader.
Where's the library?
Well,
exactly.
Well, library books.
Fair enough. Right, well, that's kind of like what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, too.
Around here, we don't have libraries. We have libraries.
No, that's it. Live berries. Yeah. But yeah, libraries. If I was ever in one, it was a school.
The libraries are in the forest.
It was a school
trip.
The
library.
There you go.
It's the library.
I know you had more. Yeah. Gentlemen, what ingredients do you use to make tuna salad? I guess he's meaning besides tuna and mayo.
I think he asked us already.
Did he? All right. I just never opened it up from last week's.
All right. So
I think that's it.
If that's about it for the emails,
I think that's about it for the emails officially.
I think we could segue right into our Meanwhile section.
What? Meanwhile. So hey, that's where we kind of just go over stuff we've been watching. You know what I mean? Like what's happened
we've seen since the last time we spoke with you.
You know what I mean? Normally we would do flash talk in this section, but we're going to move to the end of the episode this week because it's spoilery and it's like
very important.
And we might go on at length a little bit about it. So this way, if people want to jump ship, we give them that option.
Yeah.
You don't have to go down with the ship. You can abandon it, but do it later. Don't do it now.
So. Yeah. While we're talking about the Flash and CW,
fair enough.
A new show, Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Mañana.
I know you guys mentioned it last week when I wasn't here.
Yeah, well, the show's got to go on, man. I'm sorry, but we did kind of.
I would like to get my 2 cents in on the show.
2 cents. All right, let's put your timer. Put some time on the clock. What do we got? A minute?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine
60 seconds.
60 seconds on the
candidate.
clock. We should really get a timer going for something later on, and then actually see if we can do something like that.
Probably not. I guess that's like the Wave Runner thing, right? I guess
that's the flashy kind of thing.
All right. So yeah, Legends of Tomorrow, man. I'm digging it. I really am. I don't know if you caught the most recent episode that was on Thursday night.
Did not.
Okay. That was episode 2.
Mm-hmm. Bob gave me the heads up, but
yeah.
I was a half hour already.
I wasn't interested enough to catch the first episode, so I'm kind of staying out of this one.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. It's not,
that is the official review. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, no, it's not definitely not Flash.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as that.
Right.
That's for sure.
Okay.
But it's got some cool aspects to it, man. I mean, you can obviously tell they fucking spent serious amount of change on this fucking show.
Right. Well, this is the thing too. Is like this. The thing to keep in mind is that this episode 2 is actually second half of the pilot.
Yeah.
So the pilots tend to have a higher budget than regular standard episodes. So it's fair enough to say that they might have blown the wad. Don't get too used to.
Well, that was a rumor that was kicking around before the show even aired that because the budget was so high on this season that they weren't even sure if they were going to greenlight a second season because they didn't want to spend that money that they spent on the first season on another season. So that could very well be the case still. So
yeah, they're gonna end up killing somebody off then. That's
what I was gonna say. The cast is pretty big too. That's another thing.
Firestorm's gonna get killed off because he's the most. It cost him most money to make him be on screen.
Yeah. He's the most special effects wrapped character probably. Yeah, sure, absolutely. So,
but aside from that, I'm digging the show. It's solid, and I'm a fanboy, so
it's easy to
give me anything,
it's easy to like
anything in that ballpark, and I'll eat it.
How did you feel about the action and stuff? Did it was it holding up? Because sometimes I feel like the action in Arrow is a little clunky. You know what I mean? And if it's just straight up bar fights, and then whatever, like you know what I mean. But this feels like everybody's got a power, and everybody's you know what I mean. So
it absolutely kind of feels a bit forced at times because there's so many characters and like they're doing this kind of Avengers Age of Ultron type thing where like they do like these pull away wide shots of everyone fighting. They actually did one thing that I do like when there's a big fight scene with the whole cast, the whole ensemble, like they stick the camera on the Atom and like the Atom flies around a little bit and
so he's like all in
point
and out
of view
of
the Atom and like you see what's going on like from
That's
him.
kind of cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I guess.
it sounds like there's some interesting possibilities with the show. Maybe you need to give it more than 2 episodes. Just to,
I mean it's a time travel show. So
if
you have any interest in that type of shit and you like DC Comics and comics in general, I think you'll enjoy the show. I mean,
what I did see in the first part of the pilot was how Adam is basically just really becoming like an Iron Man that can shrink. Like, he's got like blast rays and shit now and all this stuff. But aside from that, I do want to check out episode 2. Yeah. I just missed it.
So,
what else we got?
DC related.
Yeah.
Lucifer premiered this past week.
Yeah.
On
Mr.
Monday on
Brian
Fox.
Hughes mentioned that in an email.
He did.
Now, this is the show? Is this based on the comic?
Yes, it is.
To a degree. You know what I mean? It's not going to follow hard, but it's the same basic concept. It's following that.
Because I read the first 2 issues of the comic, so I was interested in the first episode because the commercials had the same layout. I was like, okay, so it's got to be. But we really hadn't been talking about it.
Yeah.
So the comic is
I think the reason
a recent relaunch at Vertigo / DC, and it's up to issue 2 or 3 right now. But I didn't really catch the back half of the TV episode, so I don't know how much it ended up kind of getting similar to that run of the comic.
Well, yeah, I've heard that if you know anything about Lucifer the comic from Vertigo, you know that character kind of spun out of the Sandman comics from Neil Gaiman. I don't know much about that run of the book because I wasn't reading comics.
I thought I recognized because I read some of your Sandman back in the day.
So this sets that up where in the Sandman there's a storyline where Lucifer gives up the job at being the devil and turns over the key to hell to the Sandman, the keeper of dreams, Morpheus, to either run it himself or you figure out who to give the key to. And so it ends up being a story where Morpheus meets with all these other gods who want the key. But point being that Lucifer never goes back, more or less, or goes back and forth, but never takes over the reins again.
Right. So on the relaunch that's going on right now, like you mentioned earlier, it's I think it's the first 2 issues are out right now, and it's the same exact setup for the most part. I mean, he's on Earth right now, and he's kind of God is dead, and he's just trying to figure out who killed him. So he's in and out of hell and heaven and earth.
Right, that's a setup on the
trying
comic.
To figure out who killed God. I don't know if that's going to be the case on the show. I highly doubt that.
Yeah, that seems like
because it's from Fox and I doubt they're really looking to piss off anybody.
1 million moms is already mad about it.
Yeah, I saw that. But I mean, I really enjoyed the pilot a lot, man. I really
All right,
did.
but I gotta finish it then.
I
liked what I was seeing.
I'm
but
digging
I was
the comic
busy.
so far.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm
really
digging it
liked
too.
the pilot. I was blown away by the pilot, to be honest, man. I really didn't think it was gonna be anything special.
That's
I was
what
like,
I was feeling too.
my mindset going in was, I'll watch it because it's a comic book property, but
I'll give it a chance.
probably not watch any more episodes.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
But
the feeling I was
liked
getting. I
it
was
a lot.
very unimpressed from the advertising leading up.
Yeah,
I'll say it too.
but
That's
it's good.
basically-
So check that
All
out.
right.
It's on Monday nights. I think it's either before or directly. It's either directly before or after the X-Files on Mondays. I'm not sure which time slot it's in, but Monday night on Fox.
All right, so you also caught Billions on Showtime, which is another one I gotta catch.
Yeah, that's 2 episodes in. 3 episodes by the time you've listened to this episode of the podcast. It's a great show, actually. It's Showtime's a channel that I have virtually no respect for.
Generally speaking, it doesn't really deliver anything. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
For you.
aside from Ray Donovan, I don't really know many other shows that
I
are on
watched
that network.
Dexter for a
Penny
little while.
Dreadful and Dexter, like I was just gonna say. I know those shows came out of that, but this is like, it's a real grounded show. It's about Damian Lewis's character, who is almost like he's pretty much just like a big hedge fund manager, I guess you'd say.
Mhm.
He runs a big finance company.
He's a murder
And,
Madoff type.
Yeah, exactly. And he's kind of a little bit dirty with it,
Sure.
obviously, like most of them are.
You know.
And Paul Giamatti's character is the U.S. attorney.
Oh, okay.
And they obviously are bound to bump heads eventually somewhere down the road.
Oh, gee, you'd think so.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's cool. It's cool to see because Paul Giamatti's wife in the show works for Damian Lewis's company. She's one of the higher ups there, so they know each other.
A little too close to home.
Yeah, and it's definitely a more grounded show that I think anyone would really like, no matter what your fucking thing is.
It feels accessible.
Yeah,
accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really down to earth, and it's more everyday life than Legend of Tomorrow is.
Well, I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Time
I haven't been
travel.
doing much time travel.
Exactly.
Lately. I'm trying to.
So another big premiere that fucking came out this week was Outsiders on WGN.
Outsiders.
that was good.
I'm practicing
really
at
good.
work when no one's around.
So this is a show that on a network that I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah, WGN
America, WGN America.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, what does WGN stand for?
I don't know. I really don't know.
We got news.
We got nothing.
We got it.
We got nothing. We got nothing except
We got nothing,
Outsiders.
America.
We got nothing.
We got nothing, America.
There you go. There you go.
Well, no, it's just a bunch of guys that were like, we got a network. I guess,
Oh,
maybe.
that's good too. That's good too.
No, but jokes aside, this new
Outsiders was
series,
good. I saw it.
Outsiders, not to get too much into it,
Mhm.
it just follows
We've
this
mentioned it before.
this family that
In the Appalachian Mountains, they live off the land. They've been there for generations. They're about to get basically pushed off their land, but they're not.
they get an eviction notice in the first episode from.
They ain't
from
necessarily the
local
nicest
government.
people. It's amazing they got all their teeth, but that's just because actors have all their teeth. Anybody willing to knock them out?
Yeah.
No. But anyway, so yeah, it runs like that. The town and some developers.
It's your classic American crime family story. Like, obviously
Mhm.
it follows the same pattern of Sons of Anarchy and fucking all the other
All these
shows
other
and movies
kind
that
of-
follow a crime
Right.
family.
Sure.
But the family it's not a good family. They're not good people.
Yeah.
And they make you know that in the first episode. And
In the first
as
couple
basic,
minutes.
as basic as the premise is, it's a bit of a different spin on that
Mhm,
genre, I guess
mhm.
you could say.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth checking it out, and it's definitely worth sticking with
Well,
it.
what's really interesting to me is I didn't make any of them, like in small ways, via dialogue mostly, but in small ways, like you realize that as bright as the brightest person or the smartest person there is, they're really not that smart generally because they're not educated.
Right,
But
yeah.
knowing the deal and what's life is about and writing,
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
One of the spins of the show is that one of the main characters, he is kind of in the gutter right now with the family because he at some point in time, I think they say it's 10 years ago, left their little compound there.
Exactly.
And
right.
went to college in California, other side of the country. Did his thing, fucking.
He's tainted now.
Yeah, it's pretty much like what's that show? The Amish with the Amish people.
Right, with the
Amish
outcasts.
kids.
Mafia.
Yeah.
No, oh no, not
The
that.
Amish kids that get like a
they have
day
that-
of freedom. You know what I mean?
to go taste the real world
Exactly.
and stuff, and then come back.
Rumspringer.
Yeah. So he never came back apparently, and he eventually does come back because obviously he's in some trouble with the law.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's
He was
the
hiding
only
from
place
something.
that he is untouchable technically.
There you go.
So it's one of the more interesting parts of the pilot was when they're trying to read the eviction notice and no one can read it except for him. So even though they hate him, they have to force him to tell them what.
Because they don't know what this notice
right.
was that was plastered on the tree. So they were like, "Well, go get him." They were keeping him in a cage or some shit because they were like, "We're not letting you back in. We're gonna put you in a cage with some shackles and stuff
Yeah. So moving on from that,
and make moonshine." Okay,
they do a lot of that.
We'll move on.
They do a lot of that.
So moving on from that,
we got some news.
well, I just want to mention that, yes, I did watch X-Files. We will have X-Files talk. I'm thinking maybe we'll do a special side episode because it's something I don't know. I feel like I can
Bill
kind
is
of
a
devote.
big X-Files fan,
Big
ladies
X-Files
and
fan.
gents.
And so I have a little bit of ranting. I have a little bit of stuff I want. I'm thinking about maybe trying to get Chad or somebody to come in, and we'll talk about the series either up to the halfway point or maybe just after it's all done, rather than trying to squeeze in some coverage every week of like, hey,
Halfway point is next week, man.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it's 2 episodes down already. So,
Yeah.
But so the kids at home can look forward to that. And now, jumping into the news. Yeah,
That was good.
I like
That's ESPN, folks. If you didn't
the
catch
back half of our.
You don't want to say that on the radio.
No.
fuck it.
Well, hey,
no one's listening to this show, anyways.
If you gotta explain a
Yeah,
joke, maybe we'll look at it like that. Like if you gotta explain a joke, maybe it's not that funny. But what'd you think? So now you weren't here for that
Right.
last week,
Right.
and this is a little thing. Me and Bob worked out this little jingle.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? What did you?
Yeah, well-
Because you weren't big on the Spider-Man,
The reason why, no.
so that's how that started.
Yeah,
But I decided to say, fuck it, let's make that news in general.
Right. Well, no, the reason why I actually said that it was what it was because I didn't catch it at first, and
Right.
I needed Bill to actually explain to me what it was, and
Right,
then when
right,
he
right.
explained it to me, I went back and listened to it again, and I was like, oh wow, that's spot on. I can't believe I didn't realize it the first time.
There you go.
Um,
Maybe I just didn't emphasize it enough too. Actually, when I was talking, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's
So
my other.
If you listened to last week's episode and you didn't quite know what that was, there you go.
There you go. I just didn't introduce it. Right. But so anyway, so in news this week, I just want to get this out of the way. Abe Vagoda passed away, and
For real this time.
for real, yes. And I actually checked the website. Is Abe Vagoda dead? And it just said yes. They finally changed it.
Yeah. And now it's just one page. Three
Yeah.
big letters with an exclamation point.
Just yeah. And
Scrolling back around, different colors.
But if you don't know who Abe Vagoda is, maybe it's just generational.
Yeah,
But
I don't know who she is.
it's a dude. It's an old actor guy. If we pulled up a picture, you'd probably recognize him from a few things.
Okay.
Or he'd look kind of familiar from
He
the
was in The
last
Godfather.
He was in The Godfather.
Oh, all right.
He's Fish on Barney Miller,
Yes.
and then had his own spin-off, I think, right?
Cold Fish.
Cold Fish. But later in life, I think he did a few things that might have gotten some traction, probably under your radar at some point. You
Yeah.
probably recognize
I
him.
think he played. He was in Plan 9 from Outer Space with Johnny Depp.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah, he played.
About,
What's his name?
he didn't play Bela Lugosi.
Yes, he did. No. That was no. I'm sorry. I'm getting that mixed up with Martin Landau.
Yes, Martin
I'm sorry.
Landau played
Yeah,
Bela
I take
Lugosi.
that. Yeah, I take that
correct.
back. I'm sorry.
But I know that
He did do something though.
But Abe kind of popped up maybe 5 or 6 years ago in a couple of things, and
Yeah.
he might have been playing somebody's grandfather or something like that. But anyway, you would recognize me.
Well, rest in peace, Abe.
A moment of silence for Abe. That'll do. Okay.
So I actually this just came across the Bleeding Cool Waves
Oh, the hot one.
as you
The
were
hot
printing out the
Today's
guidelines.
Sure, today's
So,
outline. Yeah.
Before
Hit me.
we get
What's going
full
on?
into it, Bleeding Cool actually
Surprise me.
just posted an article a few moments ago, putting out pretty much the details about Marvel's comic solicitation through April 2016. And I just wanted to let everyone know that Marvel essentially sucks, and I fucking hate Marvel.
Is this
and I mean DC too, for that matter.
Yeah.
They are they fall victim to this as well. But but Marvel is a bit more scummy with it. So
what happened?
So in the solicitations, there's a shit ton of books that they have in there, but a very noticeable thing to me was that they kind of jacked up the prices a little bit on a lot of books.
Gee, I guess Disney wants to make some money back on that whole Star Wars thing.
You gotta get your returns.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't make enough money.
No.
So your standard 32 page issue
Comic, right?
Is still going to remain at $3.99.
Which, by the way, only contains about 20 to 22 pages of actual content.
Well,
The rest
now
is
it'll just be
ads.
10 pages of comics and.
Right. Gotta shave it off on both sides.
So we've been seeing. So if you read comics on a regular basis, you know that much more recently, both DC and Marvel, the big two, have been going heavy on the $4.99 books.
Right.
But they're not. They haven't been doing it. They haven't been embellishing it so much that it's like noticeable on every title. They mainly do it just for like the events, like the Dark Knight Returns for Secret Wars #1.
But in the course of 12 months, like in the course of a year following one title, you'll get like 3 issues that hit that price jump.
So while we were on a little break before we had started, I read the entire solicitation through from January through April 2016.
So let me just clarify real quick for anybody who's
Right.
doesn't know. Solicitations are the fact that in 3 months from now, these are the books that Marvel will be putting out. So that's just all that is.
I thought that was
yeah,
a bit
well,
self-explanatory.
It's inferred, but I just want clarification.
So anyways, to get down to it, pretty much every #1 that Marvel's releasing from here on out through April will be $4.99.
Oh, okay.
And that's $4.99, 40 pages a book.
All right.
It includes, but are not limited to, Black Panther #1, Captain America Road to Civil War #1, Star Wars Poe Dameron #1, Gwenpool #1, Moon Knight #1 by Jeff Lemire, Spider-Woman Alpha #1.
Okay.
Now, Spider-Woman Alpha #1, I put that on the list because who the fuck is going to pick that up?
Well,
It's a $5 book,
right?
And
it's a low-tiered character. It's going to have
and that's what I mean. That's kind of why I included it, because I just trying to prove my point of why. Like,
you have the creative team on that?
No, I don't. I'm
wondering if it's like maybe, it's a name. You know what I mean? Only because like, how do you?
Well, I've heard that
sometimes that's the science lately. It's like, oh, let's take a character who can't get their leg up
and just jack the price.
Well, no, what I'm getting at is that you pay a couple extra bucks at the corporate level to get somebody really good as a writing creative team, like
So,
much like they keep doing with Moon Knight.
So, anyone who doesn't read comics, you might say, "Oh, what the fuck's the difference from $3.99 to $4.99? It's only $1. It's only $5. What's the big deal?" But when you're a guy like me or a guy like Bill who's going to the store every week and you're picking up about, on average, 11 to 20 books per week. When you're picking up $4.99 books times 11 to 20, that's
granted they're not all Marvel, they're not all DC,
right? But when you have DC and Marvel rebooting at the exact same time with all new #1s being at $5 a pop, it's gonna fuck you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The hardest.
Yeah, if you're gonna go there and you're gonna get 10 titles. That's $50.
Yeah. So what it means is that like
$40.
You have to be choosier now. So it's like, then I can't get all 4 books that I really kind of wanted. I'm only going to get 2 or 3.
And to me, it makes me want to like make a statement a bit more on like it wouldn't like annoy me as much that they're doing this reboot again if like the prices weren't increasing so much.
Well,
fair enough. Yeah.
But is it really a price increase? You said that the comics are going to have 40 pages,
right?
So instead of 32,
right? So you're still getting pretty much 30 pages,
right?
You're getting 10 more pages for an extra $1,
right? So you are getting more content.
We don't know.
But I was getting. That's what I was actually going to get to. I didn't get to that yet.
Okay.
Was that the problem with Marvel's books right now? Is that they're not very good.
Well, it's that,
and
but also
the extra
that they
content
solicit
doesn't make me any happier. Like if you were giving me fucking excellent books, excellent work,
right?
That I would tell you I'd pay $7 a book for, $20 a book for,
right?
I wouldn't care then.
Right.
For me, it's not about really the money. It's more about the quality of the book that they continue to put out shit. Both companies, DC and Marvel, both fucking do this.
Yeah, there's a downtrend for them,
and it's obvious that the books are on a steady decline.
Yeah, well, it's hard. Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's hard for me to spend the $5, like you were saying, like unless it's a quality book, and a quality book means getting a quality team on it, and it's like, Well, it's not always a fucking quality thing coming out the gate. So
it's not
like,
even about the team, though. I mean, I feel like
that's what makes a quality book sometimes. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, but I feel like, you know, what's Amazing Spider-Man #1?
Mm-hmm.
That just came out recently.
Mm-hmm.
After the reboot. Dan Slott. Excellent writer. I love Dan Slott.
Sure.
Book sucks.
Yeah, I can't get into it.
Book fucking
That's just
sucks.
me. I mean, other people can. You know?
It's Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That should be Marvel's best fucking book.
Yeah.
Marvel should not have a better book than fucking Spider-Man.
Basically. Well, you're right, basically. And I don't know how it does in sales. I mean, for me and you, we've fallen off on it. But Dan Slott continues to be a guy who kind of like, you know, he'll chase away some people because he does a crazy storyline, but then he pulls other people back in, and overall, like, you know, he's trying to keep it consistent, whatever. But
and I'm not knocking Dan Slott.
It doesn't work for me anymore, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
I've read Dan Slott stuff that I enjoy, but for whatever reason, this run on Spider-Man just ain't doing it for me, and a lot of other people too, for that matter.
And I'll say that I was surprised that it didn't stick with me, because I was kind of looking forward. I kind of was digging the setup on it to a degree. I was like, okay, I can buy into that. I know a lot of people aren't. This Peter Parker as rich millionaire.
As Tony Stark.
Yeah, basically. And then, but it just didn't really jibe. It just didn't really jibe for me. But I think overall what is happening, though, is that this constant need to start and stop titles and then, you know, just do new #1s. It's not a whole reboot. It's just a relaunch, you know, every couple of years. You know, that's the new trend. That's the new thing. That's the new holographic cover of the 90s, where it was like, that's how we continue to spike the sales, spike the sales, spike the sales. Yeah. And, you know, even with this stuff, they were doing this for a while, even like last year and the year before, where it was like turning into $5 #1 issues more and more often. And so now to hear that it's going to be like that basically across the board of these launches.
Well, yeah, that's the big problem for me. Like,
like I was saying with the page counts, you know, at 32 pages a book, you're only giving me 22 pages of content. That's 10 ads. You know what I mean? So now that it jumps up to 40.
Two pages of intro.
Right. So now you're telling me that it's going to jump up to 40 pages. There's not one more page of ads in that you've added to that? Right. Like, I'm sure there is. Because you don't advertise it as 22-page book. You advertise it as a 32-page book. Right. You're telling me how many ads I'm paying for. Right. You know? So that's the thing. Like, and I would rather, and I've said this before, but I'd rather have lesser quality of paper if that would keep the price point down. I don't need magazine quality fucking paper. If I'm buying a trade paperback, that's what I want. Right. That's what I feel like I'm spending $20 for.
Right. Use newspaper, just like you used to use.
Why not? Like, especially if I was an indie publisher.
The whole point of a comic was that it's originally it was for people who didn't have a whole lot of disposable income.
Right, that's what kept them cheap. Like, you know, exactly.
It's newspaper, it's news ink, basically.
And you don't even have to go newspaper. Like, there's a couple of tiers of new paper quality.
Right.
Like, before you get to that bottom rung of, like, newspaper print. Like, you know, so you can go something cheaper than this high-gloss shit. Like, you know what I mean? So,
that originally that was
options.
Right. Originally that was all a gimmick, just like everything else back in the 90s.
They sold that on YouTube.
But it sounds like from YouTube, what's been going on now is that they've back in the 90s they found or realized that, you know, they can do these tricks to spike sales.
Right. So this is the new one.
They became over time, because people get lazy. New guys come in and they say, okay, well, this is what's working, so let's do more of this. How can we apply this kind of dynamic to other areas to help spike sales? And that's the kind of crap that goes on. And then it's like, okay, well, someone comes in who doesn't really care so much about the customer base. All right, so we're going to raise the price again. You know, because we need more money. Right. Not really, but they always need more money.
You know, that's the thing with the corporate thing. You know, it's always the corporate snowball of profits have to be more than they were last cycle.
Right. So just to mention it quick, we got it in here in the news that spinning out of this conversation, a lot of retailers are complaining about the collapsing Marvel and DC sales.
Now, as far as this article goes, before we get into it, I saw today some rebuff from some people about this article on Bleeding Cool that retailers are complaining. I mean, and this is taking quotes. This article takes quotes from retailers and shit. But I saw some people who were like, you know, this is lazy writing. This is not really the situation for all retailers. You know what I mean? So to kind of make it painted like, you know, that everybody's pissed off at both companies is not quite the real situation.
Yeah, no, and I felt the same way too when I was reading that, because you don't know the situation that store is in.
Yeah, so they could.
You might not be selling DC and Marvel books because your store just isn't selling.
You know, your numbers
you're not
overall
doing good business in general.
You know, granted, like I understand it's about percentages too. Like to a degree, it should be easy to say, well, you know, if I'm only doing XYZ numbers overall, then I can see when my Marvel numbers go up or down.
Exactly.
But these people are all they've kind of had it with the same things that we were just talking about. This new trend for the companies to do the relaunches. Not enough stuff sticks. They don't give books enough of a chance sometimes. And it's, it's this new model that's fucking seems to be driving them all kind of crazy.
Moving on in news.
Okay.
We got some movie news.
Movies? I like movies.
James Gunn disclosed earlier this week that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has cast its villains and Star-Lord's father.
Oh,
but
shit, but
they have not told
always
us the name of any of those people.
That's a big but. And I cannot lie.
No, it cannot.
I cannot. But yeah,
Nothing
so
to lie about.
that's what else is going on with something else.
That's good for progress anyway.
Yeah, it is.
No, well, at least we know that, at least we know that they're moving ahead and they've got somebody. I guess now it's going to be like he's going to get pestered until he just says who it is. So or somebody figures it out.
Yeah, the movie comes out, I think, in like almost like exactly a year from now.
Okay,
I want to say.
So it's going to start shooting soon. So.
It's like, it's bound to start shooting exactly, and it's bound to.
They know where they're going.
Out.
They know what it's all planned out at this point, and now they have the cast. So now it's just a matter of scheduling and getting it all done.
Yeah.
So, any guesses?
I don't know. I know that earlier on in the casting stage, there was a rumor about Kurt Russell getting kicked around, being Star-Lord's father. I would love that. I think that would be really awesome.
I think that's perfect casting.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
this might be dream casting as well.
Yeah. Well, the villains for the villain, I don't really know who the villain is going to be. I don't know who the villain could be. But
I mean, they're in Marvel's space stuff now, and that shit is fucking like untapped and wide open. It's like I don't know where you would start.
Right. Well, that's
with that whole thing. It's like, I mean, I guess you might want to just take from the team's own storylines and stuff, obviously. But like, if you wanted to try and expose the Marvel fans, the movie fans, to something else, maybe now is the time to start that. So I wonder if we might get a little bit of Inhumans kind of.
That's what I was going to go for. I was going to say, spinning out of that, maybe the villains, because that's what James Gunn said, not villains with an S at the end.
Fair enough.
That maybe that they're doing maybe some Skrull stuff.
Yeah, well, I think the pervasive theory is that the Skrulls are tied so much to Fantastic Four that they probably lie at Fox. So that's why we haven't seen them yet. Okay. Because people are like, oh, when am I going to see the invasion storyline?
Well, the Kree did pop up in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, already, right?
The first one.
Right.
That
and
planet that they're on.
And all that
yeah,
stuff,
where the Nova Corps is. That's the Kree planet. I'm not sure what the planet is called,
right.
but
So it's Kreeville.
Kreeville, yeah.
Yeah, that's Kreeville.
Like Whoville.
And Smallville.
Them too.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy Irons, what's this, man? Jeremy Irons confirms Alfred and Bruce live away from Wayne Manor. I mean, I left it in there, but I just felt like, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't think of it, but yeah, obviously. Like,
well, yeah, it's not any major news, obviously,
sure.
but
they're taking up residence at a Turkish bath. I
figure as much, because Wayne Manor is not looking livable.
Bob, you're not far off there with that analogy, because in an interview, Jeremy Irons described the location as a sleek lakeside destination.
Oh, so it's high end.
Oh,
so I guess Bruce and Alfred are fucking throwing some some college sorority parties.
I like it, man.
Crybaby would be so useful right now.
So you're a Crybaby pedal.
Yeah.
So all right, so that's that. There's not a whole lot there, but in TV, your boy Steve Amell, who is known to play the Arrow.
The Green Arrow.
The Green. Let's get specific. Mm-hmm. The Green Arrow.
Oliver Queen.
I like how they had to make another Arrow so that we were forced to get specific about which Arrow he is.
Exactly.
He's the green one.
Yeah.
Because now there's a little red one around.
There's two red ones.
That's the problem. Too many red ones.
Yeah. So Stephen Amell has been confirmed to appear on Legends of Tomorrow, the spinoff of Arrow and Flash on the CW. And it is a rumor that he'll be sporting a goatee and one arm in the episode that he's going to be appearing in. You may say, why is this news? Why do you care?
Why do you care, nerd?
Right.
Geek boy.
Well,
he's becoming 80s Aquaman.
Something like, oh yeah, right. Aquaman didn't have a hand for a while; he had a hook.
I
think you remember that. Yeah.
So if you've read The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, which we've mentioned a bunch on this show,
I've heard of it.
that is the version of the Green Arrow that pops up in that book.
Right, and I kind of forgot that he was missing an arm until I saw the picture online on a site.
Right.
When this little tidbit popped up. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
So this,
one-armed guy.
to me, is pretty exciting stuff. So that means that, obviously, it's Oliver from the future, or it's Oliver from another Earth that they're going to travel to.
Yeah.
Probably the future, because
it's all timeline stuff.
They're doing timeline stuff, not interdimensional travel like Barry's doing.
Like over on the Flashish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm wondering how that's going to look on him. Like, how twirly on the sides is it really going to be? Because nowadays, that doesn't hold up as well. It becomes hipster D-bag kind of fucking shit nowadays.
Yeah.
It's some Williamsburg fucking crap. So,
So
we'll see.
Sticking with the Arrowverse.
Okay. I left this in for you.
This is fantastic. This is probably the best piece of news that I've ever seen on this show.
We did dedicate some time to this, I think in 2 episodes, to this debacle. And it's getting fixed.
Remember that helmet? Remember that helmet that Diggle had when we first saw the picture on Twitter? Remember that helmet?
And it was like Magneto's motorcycle helmet, basically.
Yeah.
Remember that helmet that you've been suffering watching on Arrow every week?
As a regular viewer.
Every time you see that fucking piece of glass shoot down when he presses the button, and the glass shoots down over his face, the tinted glass, so you can't see his face. You've been suffering, haven't you? Well,
it's time. It's
time that Star Labs, Team Flash, and Cisco Ramon are going to give Diggle a helmet upgrade.
Thank God. And, I guess there's nobody else that makes anything for that team except the guys over on Flash, right? Because what else did they give him? They gave Barry the
Cisco makes everything. He even made fucking Captain Cold and Heatwave's guns.
He's got all this time. Yeah. So, everything on Flash is, on Arrow seems to be coming from Cisco lately.
Right. So this broke from comicbook.com. Just give somebody a little credit there.
Oh.
But I'm a little bit excited for this just because the helmet was just so distracting and just another piece of corn that has become Arrow. And I'm ready for it to go away or maybe get a little bit better looking.
Well, I think what's something that could be said is that Arrow seems to be downtrending for you and a couple other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, what's going on here, guys?
Someone actually pointed this out on Twitter, like not to get too off topic, but someone pointed out that Arrow suffered last year because Andrew Kreisberg and Berlanti and that whole team were focusing
so busy on those other
Flash, focusing on the first season of Flash.
That makes sense.
And a lot of people are saying now that this year Arrow and the Flash are suffering a bit because they're focusing more on Supergirl a bit.
Supergirl, LOT, Legends of Tomorrow. There's another show in the can with Garibaldi, whatever his name is.
Greg Berlanti. Which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah. But and he's just signed a big deal. That's a guy who's he's going to have less and less hands-on.
That guy has 6 shows on TV right now. 6.
It's insane.
That's good for him.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, you can't blame him.
No, absolutely.
If they're like, yeah, we'll take another one, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, really. Keep churning them out until...
It's a dream.
That's... good for him. He's making the money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I watch a bunch of them.
And I like his touch. I like his touch. His touch is working to a degree.
Right. Yeah, I was actually impressed with the latest Supergirl commercial. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should go back and watch some of the episodes of the show.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't. Don't do it.
Don't go that crazy. Yeah. All right. So now after that, we mentioned this earlier as well. But I think I printed off the actual wrong. Oh no, I got it in my tablet. That's one of the other things that's going on is that CW has announced these new shows, a slate of new shows, and it's like, okay, not too bad for the most part, but there's a couple interesting ones. So I just kind of am highlighting the ones that are of interest. I think I only really left out one. So there's an Untitled Mars project. It doesn't have a title yet. The pitch is that it's a team of explorers arrive on Mars to join the first human colony on the planet, only to discover that their predecessors have vanished. Predecessors. Maybe a podcast isn't the right thing for me.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Neither of us.
His tongue is so dry. So that's from a guy behind Rain, House, House MD and True Calling. There's a show, Transylvania, which I think this is going to be amazeballs. This is going to be amazeballs. Can you sense the sarcasm? In 1880, a headstrong young woman, in search of her missing father, ventures from New York City to Transylvania, where she where she teams up with a wrongfully disgraced Scotland Yard detective. And together they witness the births of the most famous monsters and villains in history. So basically, it's
it sounds like a total train wreck.
Yeah, it's gonna be there's a werewolf, and there's a
so
Frankenstein.
Is it Hotel Transylvania? Is it Hotel Transylvania?
It's not no. It's just Transylvania.
Oh, okay. I thought because you said Hotel Transylvania at first, so I thought maybe it was
like that
like a spin-off of the movies or something, because the movies are actually pretty.
I might have said that. I'm not sure, but there's an untitled paranormal project, which this. Only because of who's behind it. Sounds a little interesting. A young woman seeks help from a parapsychologist when she begins to experience paranormal phenomena. It's Kevin Williamson, the guy behind Vampire Diaries, The Following, and the Scream movies. He's behind that. But
so I will not watch that.
So the ones that I really wanted to get to, that are going to actually segue us into the reboot report, is that the CW has kind of given the go-ahead on a pilot for a show based on Frequency, which was the Dennis Quaid movie, and this is going to follow very much the same format where via a ham radio, or as some people know, a CB radio, a female police detective in 2016 discovers that she is able to speak via this radio with her estranged father, also a detective, who died in 1996. So she to the past, like she's talking to him in the past.
Kind of like the movie with Keanu Reeves with the mailbox.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that too. But it's based on this Dennis Quaid.
Hopefully better.
Well, the Dennis Quaid movie was a better movie than the one with the piano in the mailbox. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
So, but that's from the guy behind Supernatural and Being Human. He's the guy behind that. But it's going to be about the butterfly effect and time shenanigans. But basically, what's coming down to is here the show that we wanted to get to is Riverdale. So it's set in the present day. And based on the iconic Archie comics characters, Riverdale is a surprising and subversive take on Archie, Betty, Veronica, and their friends, exploring the surrealism of small-town life, the darkness and weirdness bubbling beneath Riverdale's wholesome facade. Producer Greg Berlanti.
Surprise, surprise.
That's
CW.
your boy. We were just talking about him. So, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't know. There's been talk about this for a while, and I don't want to get too crazy into it, but it's news. I don't know. We'll see it when we see it, but it's just like, you know.
I mean, I don't know much about Archie comics or Riverdale for that matter,
Yeah.
but all I do know is that this show is probably going to be more classic. Well, yes, that. But more classic CW relationship, high school-y type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
90210.
Exactly.
Well, what's funny is that they've, Archie Comics has a comic now that's coming out that is very much in this vein. They've kind of real-worlded Archie, Jughead, and the gang, and it's written by Mark Waid. I think the artist is Fiona Staples from the book Saga. And it's supposed to be pretty good. You know what I mean? A lot of Archie Comics, what they've been doing lately is kind of finally saying, okay, let's fuck with it. And so you're getting like horror stuff from like Archie and the gang and like real like Archie versus zombies kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, they're still doing the, Archie Digest and Jughead,
all that stuff.
The kitty kind of jokey four panels.
Jughead running around chasing hamburgers.
Right. Exactly, the silly, goofy. And then they're willing to try and play around for an older audience that's looking for something a little bit different. So I don't know, because the one thing that kind of got my interest on this at all with the description of the show here is that the darkness and weirdness bubbling beneath Riverdale's wholesome facade. So I don't know if we're really going to get something that kind of maybe could be good. I don't know. We'll see what your boy Greg Berlanti
I've become pretty fond of this Berlanti guy, so I'm going to probably give it a shot regardless of what the trailer looks like.
I think that might be the thing that's selling me more than anything else on it, to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, he made The Flash, Arrow, he made all these shows work.
He could be jumping the shark with this too.
So, well, that's the thing. That might be the final kink in his armor kind of a thing.
The Archie might be going a little too far.
Fair enough. He might be stretching it.
I'm not trying. That's not my opinion. I don't know.
No, but it's a good point.
Yeah, just to make the point.
Yeah, that's a solid reason. So also in the reboot report is some talk of a Top Gun 2.
Why?
Because there's money involved.
because Tom Cruise needs another movie to ride a motorcycle.
You know, probably because Jerry Bruckheimer maybe not be doing anything. No.
I think he's working on Lucifer, actually.
Well, actually, Jerry Bruckheimer does produce, and his production company does do a lot more TV stuff now. But so there's been some discussions. It's really nothing to get too crazy about, but it's just
Tom
chatter.
Cruise's name has been floating around a lot lately.
Well, now he's attached. Speaking of Reboot Report,
his deal with the devil is going to run out soon, so he's got to make as many movies as possible.
Maybe that's what it is. I'll stand by that. That's official. That's an official scoop. Tom Cruise's deal with the devil runs out.
He's going to melt one day soon, and we're just going to see it.
Finally, we'll see the demon inside him. Because speaking of reboots, they're going to have him probably be involved with this Universal's The Mummy reboot, like of the original.
Yeah, well, I heard that it was like
Universal movie horror monsters.
The original, original Mummy, not the one we
the
got.
Boris Karloff stuff, that era.
Not the.
That's what we're jumping
Dwayne
from.
Johnson stuff.
Right. None of that. None of the other one.
Brendan Fraser one. Not
Brendan
that.
Fraser one. Right.
You know, I don't know if it's a probable, but I heard that it was getting talked about. I don't know if it's just a rumor or if it's just like a fan cast, some shit like that. I know I was listening to Kevin Smith podcast a few weeks ago, and he had mentioned it, but I don't think at that point that it was anything serious. Maybe you saw something that I didn't.
If I remember correctly, like what I saw was that, it's a thing. Then I saw a thing where, no, that's just a rumor. Then I saw another thing like, no, it is a thing. It's just not that far in development. Like, like Tom hasn't agreed, but you know what I mean? But also in reboots, Blade Runner, the sequel, starts filming in July.
Why?
This whole reboot report thing.
It's such a risk, man. God,
it's a downer, right?
It's just such a downer, Like,
the whole reboot.
We should like start the show with the reboot report. So like, give me the bad news first.
Scare people away right from.
Give me the bad news first.
Well, that's why I got the polls to follow this, and then some flash talk, so we can come out of this miserable funk.
Oh, right.
Because the next thing to tell you about is these DC Comics reboots for. Or reimaginings for some Hanna-Barbera titles. So it's like Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really know what that is, though. What is this?
So I should have pulled out an image for you.
Plastic Man. They're going to do something with Plastic Man.
No, that's a different thing. So the actual Hanna-Barbera stuff, Scooby Doo, Wacky Racers, Johnny Quest, and a couple other titles are going to kind of get like comic book modernizings.
Right.
Johnny Quest looks okay. It's called Future Quest, and it looks just like, maybe a little more of a sci-fi, harder sci-fi kind of thing, slightly, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Maybe he's older, not a kid anymore, so that could work.
Fair enough. Because it seems like it is what it is. Like it's just staying kind of true.
Right.
The Wacky Racers things. I only saw one image. It's kind of looking like a little bit of a combination between Mad Max.
Is that the one with the dog and the evil guy with the mustache? Yeah.
All that
Muttley
stuff. Muttley, right.
Yeah,
Muttley and a 25 vehicles.
Penelope Pit Stop.
Yes.
Wow. Why put that in the comic book, though? I don't get that.
I don't know. So,
a weekly in the newspaper kind of thing might work.
Well, to each his own. I guess if you're thinking that.
No, I'm just.
I would argue that. But the one to really be wary of is the Flintstones and Scooby Doo. So the Flintstones looks like just drawn real, you know what I mean? Just kind of like real worlded kind of looking Flintstones, but they're still in the same costumes kind of a thing. I don't know what to mean.
We're getting like real life actors or cartoons?
No. So it's a comic book.
Oh, the comic book.
But it's like an artist drew it realistically, not cartoony. Like not like the animation style. More like
that could go one of
Captain America comic would be drawn. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I get it.
You know what I mean?
It can go one of two ways with that shit, man. It can either save the fucking property and make it amazing, or it could destroy the property and ruin everyone's childhood.
Yeah, that would be a property you'd have to try and do something new with. You'd have to try and reinvent it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's far enough gone where you could do it that way, but yet it's still like. What's the word I'm looking for? It's revered.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I wonder if
so you gotta be careful
with some of it. Like with some of it,
is
that balance
really
really going to work?
Though? You know, like I feel like if it was that loved, we'd see more of it. Like I feel like we haven't seen anything.
We did though in my time. Remember,
No,
that came
I
out
know
in the
that. I
60s.
understand that, but I'm saying like if
So
it
that's
was
why I was-
still that loved,
Well, that's why
like
I'm
we,
saving
like we haven't
Scooby.
seen
Right.
anything
Well,
since
that's
movie. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why you can get away with doing this stuff now because of that.
Right, because there's less
Yeah.
attention to this particular one.
Right.
And
Like,
that's why I was going to say
people
about,
my age still were the people they were going to be addressing it to. It would have to be different.
right.
But it's not. You
Right.
know.
And I think that's the thing with this particular run of the comics. As much as it's like reimaginings, it's really not meant. It's meant more for comics readers. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Right.
geared towards them. So that's why I saved Scooby Doo for last, because I feel like Scooby Doo is the one that's probably most still revered with the new generations.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
They keep
Scooby
coming
Doo
back.
just
They
keeps
keep
coming back.
Although, what's up with Thelma now? She's skinny.
Well, that's what I'm. Well, that's it seems to be a thing too, and it's even evidenced in this reimagining. But Jim Lee did this reimagining drawing concept sketch of the group, and it's basically
Super deformed.
I always called him Scabby. Fucking Shaggy. I was just about to call him Scabby, which maybe is a better word for him now,
Yeah, a
because
little
now
bit.
he looks like a hipster d-bag. He's got the twirl mustache we were talking about before.
Oh, so he looks like the son of the hippies.
Yes, he looks like hippie 2.0.
Right.
You know, modern day fucking kind of thing. And
By the way, I also find it funny that you're talking about hipster d-bag, and you kind of look like
I can get a little twirl going.
with the hat and everything. Right
me
now,
see
you
what
look
I
like
look
you
like
could be
right
walking around down in.
I didn't want to say anything, you know.
I'll
but-
get the bongos out. I don't care, man. I'll go down to the train station and bong on the
you can hang out.
bongos.
Well, what's his name in a Lincoln commercial?
All right.
You'll bong it up, but I don't think you're gonna bongo.
Oh, that's a different kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, can't do that at the train station.
It's
So-
not about hugging trees.
Back to Scooby Doo. That was my point.
Really, though?
Well, I'm wrapping it up. Just that, hey, go check it out. Look at it. Look at this silly thing and scoff at it like everyone else is, basically.
Yeah.
But Scooby Apocalypse is what it's called. And the toppers, I feel like the top, everyone's focused on Shaggy because he just looks like a hipster D-bag, and that's a cool, easy thing to say. I feel like the biggest problem with it is actually that Scooby-Doo seems to have some kind of technical, I don't know if it's, bolted into his head or not, but some kind of like eye thing and some wraparound. Bob's like, all right, that's it. I got to look it up.
So
I don't blame you. You want to try and find it at entertainmentweekly.com, EW.com.
So before we leave the reboot report, real quick, that 24 reimagining that we mentioned a couple weeks back,
I believe I'm not sure if we covered it, but we might
I
have.
think we mentioned it
Okay.
in the news that it was
Oh,
happening.
yeah, we mentioned it before it was cast.
that it was happening. Yeah, so
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that the lead has been cast.
Yes.
It's Corey Hawkins. That's he was in Straight Outta Compton. He
Sure.
played Dr. Dre, I believe, in that movie.
Okay.
And he's currently on The Walking Dead playing Heath.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So-
Still waiting for it.
I'm like, yeah. When I saw his picture, I'm like, I know him from someplace else. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't see Compton, so I was like, where do I know him from? So that's cool. All right, so he's from Walking Dead.
So imagine,
Yeah.
just if you're a Walking Dead fan, his character's gonna die probably first episode back because he's gonna start filming
Yeah.
24.
Right. That means he's gonna leave and he's got other work to do.
Yeah.
So expect it to be like, yeah, right, exactly. Episode 1, back from this break on Walking Dead, when I saw it walking out of that house into the horde of zombies.
Yeah,
Somebody's not making it back.
exactly.
Oh.
So Bob that sound was Bob just found the Scooby-Doo gang picture. Let me
Let's
just see,
take a
just
look
to
at
double
that.
check and make sure you got the right one. But I'm sure you
Oh, yeah.
do. Yeah. Let me see.
It's Chad. It's
just show
Chad.
Yes, it's fucking Chad. Hey, that's a very good picture.
Oh wow.
Oh,
That's
wait,
great.
wait. It gets better. I have to scroll this for you just a little bit now. Because you get to see Scooby and Thelma, too.
Yeah, sadly there's no bigger version of in color. There's a black and white version of that picture in the article
With the scroll because it
Gotcha.
because it trims everybody off.
Yeah, it trims everybody off in the bottom.
But Scooby-Doo's got some kind of fucking laser targeting system.
Yeah, he's
Magic
Scooby-Doo
necklace.
cyborg. Yes.
Scooborg.
Yeah, really. I was trying to figure out how to say that, too.
It's Borgy-Doo.
Scooby Borg.
Beep, bop, bop, beep, 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 beep. Ruby, Ruby, Ruby.
Wow, that is fucking Chad, man.
All right. I mean, come on. That's
He really should just kind of change that to his Facebook picture, Just crop it down, Maybe play with the filters a little
Maybe
bit.
we should download it later.
I
It's
should.
Post it and make sure he sees it.
I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to,
So-
crop it out.
Oh, my
and then
God.
Put some, real Instagram-y kind of filters on it, hipster it up.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey pod lovers, we post new episodes every Monday, and if you're looking for other places to listen to the Wicked Theory podcast, we've got options. You can find us on the Wicked Radio Network, the Tangent Bound Network, iTunes, and the Apple Podcast app built into every iPhone and iPad. We're on Stitcher, TuneIn, Libsyn's Podcast Source app, Player FM, and soon, Google Play. Of course, you can also hear full episodes at wickedtheory.com or also on our Facebook page. As always, please subscribe, rate, and review where and when you can. Where and when you can. That's what helps us get exposure and new listeners. Want to reach the show? Want to reach the show? Send questions, comments, paternity test results, or even your eviction notices to podcast@wickedtheory.com. So, some polls to do, Bill?
We do. I did some polls this week. I did 3 very, very interesting polls. These polls, I went with a theme. And I was thinking, what can I do that's different this week? And I'm like, let's do something ridiculous. But it's got to be nerdy. So I did ridiculous nerd polls.
Ah.
All right? So the first one is, who wins in a 4-way... But I think Bob is still trapped in it.
Yeah,
he was still stuck in the Scooby Doo. He's like, he's fucking still shaking his head. He's like looking at his phone like,
You better get back to the sentence because you just said who wins in a 4-way.
Yeah,
Sure, let me finish this then. So this week's poll was, who wins in a 4-way anything goes open area deathmatch? And the options were Godzilla, Optimus Prime, Batman, and Yoda. Now, does anybody want to fucking throw it out there? Who would win in that fight? A 4-way deathmatch.
Can you say the contestants again?
Sure, it's a big open area,
I
like
heard
the
you.
desert, plain desert plain.
I already know.
I'm saying Godzilla, Optimus Prime. You can pick whichever one you want, movie or cartoon. Batman, you can pick any era. I don't care, whatever you like. Or Yoda, and you can pick any era you like too, puppet or CG.
Well, that's cream of the crop.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Optimus Prime.
Bobby goes Optimus Prime.
I
All right.
would probably have to go with Batman, man.
Dom's going to go Batman.
Yeah, he's going to get him real close to Godzilla with fighting with elbows.
Well, I kind of lead in Godzilla. I mean, I don't know. That's just me. Everybody's kind of got some... I think it's really reasonable to kind of side with anybody in this one. I kind of overthought it myself.
How'd the polls decide?
So the polls kind of came out 20s across the board. 20%, 20%, 20%.
Real close,
but
huh?
Batman took it with 40%. So people just kind of say, Batman just beats everybody.
Well, as long as he's prepared.
Well, that's the
and
thing.
it'll fit on his
When
belt.
is the Cape Crusader not prepared?
Right.
Bob?
That's the thing that I tried to squeeze into
You always,
the caveat that it was a 0 prep, anything goes.
He's always prepared.
But that's the thing. But 0 prep time is the key with Batman. He has to have prep time. Otherwise, if you that's his magic
whenever
source.
you see Batman in any movie, any comic book, he usually loses the first time with somebody new. And then he goes back and he studies them. He sits there in the Batcave and he gets every piece of footage, everything.
He does do that on occasion, but I feel like a lot of times when people scenario Batman winning stuff, not writers and books all the time, but when people scenario the fights between well, he would just have a fucking, Superman repellent
right,
spray.
well, it's because they've grown up in the movies where he just happens to have it all the time.
That's what I'm getting at. And some writers have done it in the comics too, where people are just like, oh, well, he's just always prepared. He'll just have the answers. And it's like, well, that just makes him magic. Okay? So that's why you have to have the caveat when you fake fight him.
Yeah, so he should be carrying around some kryptonite too.
Well, he's
for
probably,
this movie.
I think he does. He's probably got cancer of the pelvis bone now from having it in his bat belt. So the second ridiculous nerd poll I did. Which sidekick could you come closest to beating in a fight? Your options were Robin. You could pick any one of them. Bucky, Aqualad, or Rick Jones. So who do you think you could actually take in a fight? Who could you come closest to beating?
I'm going to go with Rick Jones version in Jessica Jones Volume 1, Alias.
Oh, okay. See,
that's right, because he does pop up in there, right? And it was like a joke.
It's not really him, though. It's
right.
It's like a fake Rick Jones.
It's for Jones.
Yeah.
All right. So, my thing is Rick Jones. At some point, he has an ability.
Yeah, he does acquire stuff at one point.
Not him.
Okay.
What are the other 3 again?
Robin.
Okay.
You could pick any one of them.
Right,
there've been more than you would ever think. I was in the wiki. I was like, what?
Yeah, there's been like at least 20 of them, right?
Well, it's close enough.
It's like 4, I think. 4.
There's 4 main ones.
So then it is right. So it's Robin, Bucky, and Aqualad. because you're not going to do Rick Jones. So those are your options then. Robin,
Well,
Bucky, or Aqualad.
I think Aqualad is a wuss, but I wouldn't last underwater.
Well, there's some honesty for you folks.
So
Bucky it is, or Bucky or Robin? Dick Grayson?
Yeah, I think Dick Grayson. You just got to catch him. Once you catch him, you kick his ass easy.
Yeah, I figure Rick Jones is probably the least trained, but you know
what? Actually, I think Robin from Dark Knight Returns. She's like a little girl. She's like a little bitch, little girl.
She's not seasoned with Batman.
She's like a 10-year-old little girl,
and she wasn't really trained like.
Yeah, she don't really do much in that book.
Well, there you go. That's probably why, because she's
just there for moral support, really.
So you would beat up a little girl.
Yeah, I mean,
you heard it here first, folks.
Bill's putting me in all these,
awkward situations where I have to choose logically.
Exactly.
So here's another ridiculous nerd poll.
I'm not going to pick Bucky because Bucky's the Winter Soldier, so he's got fucking a metal arm.
Well, I was going to put like World War II era Bucky, and then I was like, I'm not going to get super specific on all these, So yes, ridiculous nerd poll number 3, the last one: road trip, a trip on the road. Stop playing footsies with me under the table, Dominic.
Can't help it.
I know, but you get me all worked up, and I'm trying to do a show. All right.
Too far.
Road trip.
Is this what you two were talking about when you were talking about doing polls later? Earlier? Yeah,
about doing them later.
That's the fourth poll. Poll number 3. Poll number 4 is going to be...
Yeah, well, just up to number 3. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Fourth pole is going to be the North Pole. Sorry.
It's all right. Road trip. 4 long days, small car. Who's going with you? Your options are Joker, Hannibal Lecter, Dr. Octopus, or Donald Trump. You have to take one. 4 long days on a road trip in a small car.
It's got to be the Donald because Donald, you got a small car, he'll pull somebody over on the side of the road, he'll negotiate how to get you that bigger car, and then you're good.
He'll just buy a car. I'm going to buy your car whether you like it or not. Just get out. I'll give you enough money to walk away.
And Doc Ock, I'm sorry, but your tentacles aren't going to fit in my small car.
He would get kind of handsy anyway.
That's exactly. I think so too.
Yeah, I would say Donald Trump, but for another reason. He's a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. I've been ignoring him since the '80s. I can ignore him for 4 more days in the car.
All right, there you go. That's true. For me, I would say probably it's probably going to be Lecter or Joker. I feel like the same thing. I thought the exact same thing. Dr. Octopus's arms will just drive me crazy, and I'll just be like, "You got to go, fucking Donald Trump." I got a feeling I'll get high off the fucking hairspray fumes or something. It'll just be too much, like that, and like Dove hand lotion is like, I feel like I'll smell around him. And I just figured, hey, Joker's a guaranteed fun time if he's letting me drive.
Right.
Me, if Joker's letting me drive, we're guaranteed a good time.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Stay off the sidewalks, folks.
Well, he is kind of suicidal.
He's asking for it. He's like, I don't care. Let's do it. So. With that, that's pretty much going to wrap up the polls.
Yeah, but wasn't there something when I printed these out? There was another page that had something else on it.
There was another page that had something else
with
on it.
Foggy.
No, that's a poll. That's a thing for next week.
Oh, for next week.
Well, you know what? I could tease it. You know what? Kids, I'll tease a poll for next week. So, listeners, when I put it up on Monday, I'll put up a poll about who's going to win in a fight. I'm going to do some fights for next week, so we'll line up some. So for the first one, I'll do.
So let's get ready to rumble.
But not the fights, because I can't just do it straight up. We've all done the Batman versus Superman or the Batman versus Darth Vader, So let's make it interesting. Let's do Foggy Nelson versus Jimmy Olsen. That'll be the first one. Who would win in that fight? Nerds, nerd fights.
Well, if we're talking Foggy and Jimmy from their respective shows, I'd have to go with Jimmy because Jimmy's pretty jacked. On Supergirl.
Okay.
Yeah,
The current version of Jimmy is better physical. Yeah,
he's like 6'2". He works out. Yeah. I was kind of go with in general, Jimmy's always been portrayed as being a little more athletic.
Fair enough.
Where Foggy has always been portrayed as being a little more couch potato.
He's definitely paunchy.
He's
definitely paunchy.
I got to give it to Jimmy.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm going to follow that. I'll say Jimmy too. But you know what?
Well, I mean, Foggy can win out of annoyance. Like he won't stop talking. Like, and then Jimmy will just be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out.
Fuck you. I can't handle all this legalese.
Yeah.
This guy with his fucking 1984. Tecumseh versus fucking Jonestown or whatever. So yeah. But you at home can vote on Monday. I'll put up a poll. Look for it on my account, Bill at Wicked Theory on Twitter, and you can tell us who you think would win in that fight, and a couple of others. I'll put up a couple of others during the week, maybe another one on that day. We'll see how it goes. But you guys can look for that. And so we're going to boost up the interactivity a little bit. You know? There's, so how's that putting us through the sheet for the week here? Am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something. Like we didn't do something. Like seriously.
We didn't do the ending yet.
Flash talk.
That's Bob. Bob is fucking sharp, let me tell you. Bobby is really sharp.
Flash talk.
Oh, the fucking Flash talk. That's exactly
You just threw the papers all over the place.
Wow.
Folks.
All right, yes. Flash. Flash. Where do you fucking start with this
There's
fucking
your
show?
Zoom impression, I guess, huh?
Flash. I guess. Does it sound like Zoom?
The first one kind of did.
Oh, I'll have to check that out on the replay. Oh, Flash, why you so fast? That's the new Flash theme. I don't care what you say. Flash, oh, Flash, why you so fast?
So I figured we could maybe do a little bit of a breakdown of this past episode.
Okay, we'll try and keep it tight. But yeah,
Absolutely keep it a little bit tight. And just, talk about where we think the show is going to go.
the show's going to go fucking
Going forward.
batshit crazy, level 7, any minute now.
Yeah, I get the feeling that
Level 12, probably.
Yeah.
the shit's going to hit the fan soon.
Yeah, I feel like everything's going to really start opening up. We're in the last... We're I don't know if we're in the middle of the last section of episodes for the season, but we are starting to really kind of set up the back run.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And if last season is any indication, the last 2 episodes of the season are going to be tying into the next season.
well, sure.
So
yeah. It's a
anything
mutual
right,
tie-up setup.
right?
Yeah.
Anything that's going to happen for this season is going to happen by 3 episodes before,
Fair enough.
pretty much.
So,
Oh, that's my
fair warning, folks. Spoilers from here on out.
Yeah, spoilers from here on out. We're not really going to worry about your feelings or what you need to hear. So come back, I guess. If you haven't seen it yet.
We'll give you about 5 seconds. We'll do the
Bob,
nerdist,
Bob will do a jingle.
the nerdist 5-second
Is that what they
Talking
do?
Dead.
Oh, it's not even 5 seconds on that
He
show.
just
though.
says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Carl's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He should do that. He should jump it ahead. So anyway, we're in the spoiler zone
So,
now, so we can talk freely.
before we get into Flash,
I can't believe that everybody died. That was fucked up. Oh.
I wanted to mention this spoiler earlier in the show in the news section, but I really couldn't because I didn't want anyone getting pissed off.
Sure,
at me.
absolutely.
But spoiler: Amanda Waller fucking died on Arrow.
Yeah, I want to know how she died, and if you can keep it kind of short or sweet. I mean, that'd be cool.
I really don't remember, so I guess that tells you. I guess that tells you how epic
it's
it
not
was.
that really impactful, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think like one of the bad guys just shoots her.
Just Larry.
Yeah.
Don't even work. They don't even give her a good out. It's just like
A really super dramatic out. But I did see some people bugging out, like, oh, finally we got her on TV, and this is what we do with her. Like, we don't even give her a whole, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's because fucking DC or Warner Brothers, whoever it is
Well, that's
getting
what they were
super like
anal-
protective of these characters that are
Yeah.
going to be on TV and then the movies. So if you watch Arrow, expect Katana's character to show up again and then die immediately because
Or just never be
she's
seen
gonna-
again.
Well, yeah.
Unless there's a storyline lingering.
Well,
but-
Amanda Waller didn't have to come back. Like she was, I don't even know if she's ever if she showed up in this season at all. So like my interpretation of it was that they brought her in and then killed her
Specifically.
to tie up the loose end. You know what I mean? So I figured they'll do the same thing with Katana. Like,
Okay.
so you're not wondering where she's, roaming around.
That's crazy.
That's how I took it.
That's how all the people are taking it too. That's how I saw some of that on Twitter. That some people are taking like that. So, but now that that's out of the way,
So into the Flash
let's
news.
get into Flash. Let's flash it up, yo.
Flash it up, kid.
So
this
some
episode
real
was
crazy time travel shit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
well, where did you want to start? You got some notes going?
Yeah, I got a few. I mean, I pretty much just.
Few. What do you mean a few?
I broke down the episode while I was watching it.
You
Can you,
definitely did.
I'm.
I don't mean to tease the audience.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get into it all, but just to hit
You'll
the main
encapsulate.
points. Return of the Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys think of,
Overall,
Eddie Earbarthon coming back?
I gotta say that I like that guy. He's. I actually was watching him online. On his, did you watch those videos?
I didn't get a chance to check it out.
All
But
right, so there's a
probably won't. But
There's a short video series of 15-minute episodes of One and Done. And it's about some 40-year-old guys who are trying to get back into playing b-ball on a regular basis in a men's league kind of thing. And it's just they're a bunch of half-asses, good for nothing clowns. You know what I mean? So it's comedy. But so to see him On here now,
Eobard
Thorne playing Eobard Thorne, and he's like, super serious and all that. I was like, oh, this is gonna take me a moment to adjust.
Right.
But I got over it, and I started to realize that like he didn't feel as crazy threatening because we got to know him, kind of a thing. Like all of a sudden he's having calm conversations inside this place, and he's supposed to be a super feared kind of guy. And all I felt was Barry's hate. Yeah. Justifiably so, but
no, you're right, because they made him seem like on season 1 that he like you said, like he was a monster and he was fucking horrible person. Right. But he, even though like this past episode, himself is like that presence of him is before the entire
he hasn't grown into
the entire events of season 1. He still wasn't like. I feel like the animosity going into season 1 of him was much more than you saw on this past episode.
Right.
Oh yeah. Then Well, I was going to elaborate on that. I was basically going to say that it's an earlier version of himself, so he hasn't had a chance to become as hateful.
Sure, he hasn't stewed in it as long as the version we saw in season 1.
Part of the relationship between the Flash and the Reverse Flash is that every time the Flash does something good, something bad happens to him. He has reasons to build up this hate.
Right.
Right.
So, I felt that the way that they kind of handled those reasons and his explanations felt a little thin.
Yeah.
Because
it's not really.
It's a quick thing. Yeah. It's just a quick patch.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I kind of felt the opposite about it because, towards the end of season 1, Reverse Flash is almost like kind of remorseful to Barry, and he's kind of almost regrets his actions completely. Okay. He's fallen, and he's been here for 15 years, and he's been with Barry for almost 2 years, and he loves him again, almost.
I keep on forgetting that aspect of it too.
I
mean, you just rewatched season 1 as well, right?
Yeah, it's Snowmageddon. I watched the entire season in 2 days.
Yeah, so when he wasn't here, he was doing some work for the show.
Yeah, I watched 17 hours straight on last Saturday.
You sick bastard. Yeah. So. Yeah, this guy, right?
Yeah. I was thinking.
Bobby, you look like, ooh, that's good.
I'm thinking, what's the drink now? It's probably just like lots of Starbucks. Yeah, Red Bulls,
something like that. Yeah, to stay up.
Yeah,
balls. It used to be balls in California. I think they still.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Balls.
Yeah, BAW.
Jolt Cola.
Right.
Sure, extra caffeine.
17 hours. And a catheter.
So, that said. So you have a little bit fresher perspective on how last season actually truly ended.
Yeah.
So you can say that pretty confidently, and I'll go with what you're saying because it sounds about right.
Yeah. I think he kind of. He was like, oh.
By the end, he was kind of like.
He was like laying on the ground and whining.
So maybe that's a little bit of something to that guy, but also to what Bob said, like he probably also hasn't just grown into that next level of hate yet per se. But
because remember he was saying, oh, now I know what time you're from, even though I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So he hasn't had a chance to get to the point where he wants to kill Barry's mother.
Yeah, which that is like me and Bill talked about this at work a few days ago. Right. Is like the biggest plot hole in cinematic history that Iris West has been fucking writing these blogs for the past 3 years, and
this guy doesn't know.
He comes from this incredibly developed future where he has a cell phone that shoots out a human fucking technology face that talks to him, and they can't go back like 150 years, whatever, and
for some blog post.
Yeah, and read a blog post to figure out when the
that's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. It was like, Dom said too. He was like, they were making a big deal about like him figuring out what era this was. Like, why wouldn't he already know like what era Barry was from? Right. And I'm like, yeah, he was in a fucking museum. There was a museum to him and everything. And he's like, no, like just technology-wise, like looking up like the Flash, like where did the Flash appear? And Iris West wrote all these articles and like all this newspaper.
What, they don't have
TV
Google
shit.
In the future?
Exactly, like someone bought it out and like shut it down.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Right now, I can find that out. I go, okay, Google.
Yeah. Has the NSA really locked up the internet so much that you can't get that kind of information now?
It's the technology aspect, and it's also like Bill's point, saying that there's a literal Flash museum. And my interpretation of a museum is
they kind of
there's usually dates.
Years.
Dates.
Yeah. This period to that
I would figure that the museum had like the first thing that's in the museum is Flash first appearance in fucking 2014.
Yeah, and if it, hey man, I think it's an oversight on theirs on somehow, but if they need to.
But what?
It was a silly thing.
Is it just me, or I'm saying this now after having also like seen all the plot holes in Star Wars,
sure,
and all that? is it like a trend that we're getting all these giant plot holes and things?
Well, it's a funny thing that they make a point about it.
Most of the time, I guess people don't notice this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what the
we're
biggest
sitting here
thing
talking about it, and I'm being told things I didn't notice.
Well, I think what's happened is that, people notice it more. Not that people notice it more now, but people can cross communicate easier. So, like, if Jimmy sees something that I didn't see, and I can be, see him pointing it out online, and all of a sudden it's like everybody now is talking about what Jimmy noticed.
Yeah, but all last season we were sitting there talking about. I every time I watched The Flash, I was like, okay, there's a hole there. There's a hole there. There's an obvious hole there.
Fair enough.
I mean, it seems like it seems like it's becoming more and more commonplace that we're getting bigger plot holes, and I think maybe is it just because people figure people don't see it, so it doesn't matter. They can just go ahead and do it.
I'd be surprised if it was like laziness, because I would think that you, as a writer nowadays, would be so nervous about the way everything is picked apart that you would be like hyper conscious of the fact of. I feel like if I ran a TV show and it was about time travel or some shit, I'd be like, listen, seriously though, like, are there any more fucking plot holes? Do we have to hire people from the outside to read this with new eyes so that like they might see something that we don't see because we're inside of the writing?
Right.
Like,
you see, you don't get plot holes like this in something like Star Trek: The Next Generation or anything like that.
I'm sure it's there.
I'm sure it's there to a degree.
I don't think
it's not as
obvious. There is some,
not as obvious,
not as obvious though.
Not as big.
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Like, they play a little bit looser with the pseudoscience on something like Flash than they do on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Star Trek: The Next Generation is like
already fake science.
Well, it's that, but it's also like the pinnacle of
how much of
staying
it
within,
really is fake science that we're using tablets now.
But I think it's
like
a certain pinnacle of staying within the logic of your own established fake science.
Right.
So, like, when you create like these fake little theories and stuff that we're going to play with, you also set up some parameters, and so you have to kind of stay within them. And Flash sometimes seems like they break their own rules.
Oh, they do it a lot.
Right, we've talked about it previously.
Yeah, Barry's already done time travel when they say he can't time travel.
Right.
Things like that. Come on.
Exactly, with the running and all that. So let's go back and hit some other points from the episode.
Fast forward a bunch in the episode, and one thing that really stuck out to me that I really loved about this episode was when towards the end of the episode, when they come to the unanimous decision of having to ultimately send Reverse Flash back to his time period, which I thought to me was like a genius thing to do, because it just makes Barry more butthurt than he already is.
Right. He has this unfinished, unresolved
because
thing
it's like
still.
You're sending him back fully knowing that he's going to
his next
he's going to kill your mother.
Yeah.
He's going to make your life a living hell. He's gonna kill Harrison Wells, which I thought was also another brilliant thing that they did.
Right. He's going to be the biggest nemesis of your entire life.
Right. That the only reason why fucking Thawne in season 1 knew Harrison Wells existed was because he was in contact in season 2 with Harrison Wells of Earth 2.
Right.
He was like he met him and he was like, I think we he was like, have we met before? And Harrison Wells was like, no, our meeting had no significance. And he's like, I don't think that's correct.
That doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right.
So.
And I saw that almost hints at something else, maybe. Like there might be even more.
Yeah, but he's definitely up to some shenanigans for sure.
Yeah, it feels like Harrison Wells is up to something more than we are being shown just outside of everything we know about what's going on. The secrets that he's keeping, we feel like, me and Dom kind of feel like he's got probably a couple more.
Right.
Well, how about this? Maybe he wants to be the Flash. And that's how Jessie ends up getting her speed.
Well, we've been talking about that a little bit. And, I'm just loose theory for me is that eventually at the end of the season, when Zoom gets defeated, there'll be some kind of Speed Force explosion or exposure. And Jessie will probably get it by accident.
Because Wally's got to get his Speed Force also.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It'll probably be like a big happy dinner barbecue at the West House, and they'll have everybody there finally, and they'll think everything's all right. We got Jessie and we got Wally.
What's his name is going to come crashing through the window and ruin the party.
Exactly. Fucking Vandal Savage.
Yes.
Will make his entrance as he always does in a big bay window.
You're absolutely
have just
right.
been put in the house because.
But I have a feeling
it even goes beyond Wally and Jessie getting powers because I think that this show that Tom Cavanaugh has become a staple on the show, and I don't think past this season the Harrison Wells character from Earth 2 is really going to last. You know what I mean? How much more can we see Cisco, Caitlin, and Harrison Wells doing their thing with Barry in Star Labs? You know, there's got to be another spin next season.
Right,
that
right,
Well,
character.
yeah,
Kinda move
but
it
that's going to depend.
He's got to become the villain again.
As soon as Jesse gets safe, his attitude changes.
Well, and his motivation too. Like
Yeah.
they'll have to give him a new reason to stay.
Right. So,
You know?
that'll be what happens though.
He'll get trapped here. They'll
know?
both probably just end up being trapped here. or
Because
something.
you can't have a dickish character on a show for too long because people are going to hate him.
Well, he's not too dickish. Actually,
No.
what I'm getting a big kick out
No.
of now is the interaction between him
Cisco.
and Cisco, and how like you have these moments, and it's just a look from
Right.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah, and the eye roll from Cisco.
Yeah, you know, and it's like this quiet thing, and I do like the way that I feel like this Wells is a different Wells than,
Yeah.
you know, he's not as chatty and he's not as talky, and like obviously like he was playing it up at a like the acting is reflective of it being two different people for me. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
nuanced. I
This
think.
this conversation feeds into another theory that I also have that
Here it is.
that Harrison Wells from Earth 2 isn't just, you know, he came here for a certain reason, not just because he somehow got sucked into the
The Zoom manipulation,
like, you know, fucking little time warp thing that
Right,
sucks
right.
you in and out of Earth
that
1
he
and Earth
originally
2.
had some other reason.
And I
to be
think
here.
that you know, Zoom isn't just playing him and using him as like a wild card, but I think he's actually playing Zoom somehow, because if you date back to the beginning of the season, he says that he actually, you know, had some, you know, some part in the creation of Zoom.
Right,
So
right,
he,
right, right.
Right.
so, you know, no one really remembers this, but he actually knows who Zoom is. So this big
Seems
thing,
that way, yeah.
this big thing that's been building up this whole season could have been easily, you know, they could have told us who it was by
Right,
just
right.
him saying to Barry, you know, this is the identity of Zoom. It's your father. It's Joe. It's fucking
Well, didn't we get that this
Jay
week
Garrick.
though?
Well, that's what I was
whoever,
going to say. Do we want to jump to the park scene,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
park bench?
yeah. Nothing really. You know.
So, in part of the Jay Garrick storyline is that you know, Jay's powers are basically turned off, and they're trying to figure out different ways to turn him back on. And since he's from Earth 2, that means he's got a version here on Earth 1 of himself. So when when Caitlin's like, "Hey, let's go find that guy," he's like, "Nah, I kind of already did, and because my DNA is mutated and his is fine." I really can't use him somehow to reboost my power back or something
Right.
like that. So, but he mentions that, well, you know, I couldn't find him at first. And the reason you couldn't find him, Caitlin, is because actually, you know, his parents in this world died, and his adoptive parents, he took their name and is now known as Hunter Zolomon. So Hunter Zolomon, for those who don't know, in the comic books, is Zoom. It's one of, there's been a couple of different Zooms. But
he
this is
is the original Professor Zoom, which is actually Reverse Flash, who was actually, you know, the villain on season 1, obviously.
There you go.
But just like to get into like the comic Flash mythology a little bit,
Yeah. Set us some precedent.
that I was really impressed with how they did that with Jay Garrick, because that to me was their way of doing the, like, you know, the original origin story of Reverse Flash, who's Eobard Thawne, who is actually Barry's twin, separated at birth.
What's amazing to me is that as convoluted as
Who
the
gets
actual
separated
Flash,
at birth from Barry's mom and gets
Oh.
raised by the Thawnes, who actually are, who actually hold the Cobalt lineage, and he ends up becoming Cobalt Blue.
Okay, I think I follow some of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. Like what I was going to say is that it's so convoluted. In the comic book continuity of Flash history is so convoluted that this show, while trying to streamline it and keep it like, you know, there's other version of it or some, you know, it's like no different by now. It's like just as convoluted when you start thinking about it too much. When I was talking to Chad the other day, I was like, yeah, like my fucking head, like I can't dwell on it too long because it's like too much time travel and like who could be and too many the theories to start to fucking spiderweb out for the center.
One thing that I think is cool about the show in regard to like the way that they, you know, respect the comic history is that they try and blend a lot of the shit that's happened with these characters with another character. So like, so like last year, like I think the Eddie Thawne character was their way of doing like the Hunter Zolomon origin, where it's like a descendant of Reverse Flash.
Well, that
or
seems
like,
to be the thing. Like
you
they'll
know.
take like bits and pieces of these different origins for these different versions of the same character,
Yeah.
and just kind of jumble them up. Like when you start looking at it from a distance now over the 2 seasons, it's like, okay, we'll take some of this over here and put it
Exactly.
there, and well, you know what we could do? We could take that guy's origin and tack it on to this guy and change the name, and you know these kinds of reimaginings of it all, of the structure. It's just mind-boggling sometimes. But anyway, so let's theorize a little bit real quick. Do we really think there's anything to the Hunter Zolomon thing? I feel like we got introduced to it for a reason.
Yeah, I
at the
think-
very least.
Bob, you go first, man.
I don't have a whole lot to say on it. I just think that that's probably where we're going to get Zoom. I think Zoom is going to end up being that man from the future, Earth 1.
Okay, I mean,
because I just think that we can't keep expanding this multiverse so much, because the average person is going to get confused.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somebody between Earth 1 and Earth 2.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like my theory
Mm-hmm.
on it is, I'm sticking with my original, that it's still Barry's dad, Henry Allen from Earth 2.
Okay.
Just because we know they set the precedent in the beginning of the season that Zoom is from Earth 2, presumably, because you know that Harrison Wells, like I mentioned earlier, was the creator of Zoom.
Mhm.
Harrison Wells, Earth 2, I should say. So you would expect that person who is in turn Zoom to be from Earth 2, no?
Right.
So I think that the I always forget his name. Hunter Zolomon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Hunter Zolomon character doesn't necessarily, it might not be Zoom, but it doesn't mean that he's not going to play like an essential role to the story.
Or,
I think
right, to Zoom's creation
I
or
don't
something.
think that they would drop that name in there just as like a cute little Easter egg for the comic fans. I think he's
Right.
going to mean something, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be a bad guy or he's going to be Zoom.
Or it's going to be exactly him.
Right. I think he's just going to be somebody that helps Jay Garrick do something good
Right.
for Team Flash. Maybe.
I'm kind of thinking of it similarly, but a little bit to the other side. I'm kind of feeling like, maybe what they'll do is they'll do a switch up where it's like, oh,
They love doing the switch up.
well, that's what I mean. So it'll turn out to be he really is Zoom, and like he just goes to the park bench to chill out, or it'll be a future version of him, maybe like Bobby said, it'll be Hunter Zolomon,
Right.
but it'll be some future version of him. I mean, to a degree, it's not exactly what you said, but to a
Right, it'll
degree,
be him from Earth 1, but like
a future
a
version.
future version.
Mm-hmm. That
Like,
we would get to see something play out in season 3 that would tie
maybe
back to this.
or maybe 2 months from that time that they're sitting on park bench, something happens. He becomes
Right.
a speedster who
Right.
becomes Zoom.
Right. So I was thinking, I told Dom this too. I was thinking, what if Zoom's manipulation of this version of Jay Garrick, because he's got a bone up his ass about Jay Garrick too, goes all the way back to this whole thing where this version of Jay Garrick's parents died and he got renamed Hunter Zolomon. What if Zoom has gone back into Jay Garrick's past and fucked with Jay Garrick?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So what if Zoom
Right.
himself set that in motion for whatever manipulation? Zoom could be doing more time stuff than
Yeah.
we realize.
And
Right.
I didn't mention it when I was just doing my bit, but I think that if someone that looked like or was a Jay Garrick from Earth 1 or Earth 2, I think that Harrison Wells, fully knowing Jay Garrick from Earth 2, knowing him well, knowing that he's the Flash, having interaction with him on their Earth, I think he'd be a little more skeptical when a Jay Garrick character was in his presence. I think he'd be a little more like, is this Zoom? Is this really the good Jay Garrick?
Yeah.
Is this the bad Jay Garrick? So, I mean, we can't forget, I keep saying it, but we can't forget that he knows who Zoom is. So
I feel like it's just as likely too. He could be a red herring just to kind of throw us off, and he's just going to play some small role in getting Jay his powers back. Maybe he will give him a blood transfusion. It gives him enough healthy blood to start the experiment over, or something silly like that. Something we hadn't considered before. Like we'll need to get him, but just as likely as him turning out to be undercover. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, we know that show loves to throw you for the twist. It's like trying to spot the twists before they fucking come. You know?
exactly.
Right.
That's my favorite part about the show, really, is all this
Yeah.
theorizing that we get to do.
And I'm
We get
kinda
to sit here like three morons.
and we
fucking
weren't
talk
kinda
about it.
Yeah,
Getting
we can
this-
go about. We've been going on about this now for far longer than we would talk about anything else in the
Absolutely.
It's
whole,
probably
the
the
whole
one-
section.
For the whole series of this particular podcast, it's probably the thing we've dedicated the most overall
Yeah,
discussion time to.
yeah, and we can continue to go on for another hour.
But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So do you have anything else to add from this episode, buddy?
That's about it, man.
That's about it. That's about it for
I'm
you.
excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, man, me too. I'm excited to see where this show goes. If anybody's still listening, I have some important stuff to tell them. You can follow Dom on Twitter at Dom_Torre, Torre.
You can follow Bill on Twitter at Wicked Theory. You can follow Bob on Twitter at Bob at WTPC. And you can follow our friend Ed on Twitter, who isn't here with us today.
At Ed O'Hare TBD.
Yeah.
On the Twitsters.
Yeah.
And
you can follow Agent Palmer on Twitter.
At Agent Palmer. You can follow him at his.com. You can follow Wicked Theory. Go to wickedtheory.com and check out all the good shit. And there's a little bit more of Agent Palmer's theme to round us out. I wonder if he's still listening. I don't think he watches The Flash. No, otherwise he'd be more engaged in the conversations about The Flash then.
He should.
He should. All right, it's time to get to it, buddy. It's on Netflix. Get on. All right. And that's going to do it. Be here next week, kids, because we'll be here just for you.
Yeah.